And thank God it's Friday. Hello, thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We are live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Our top stories this hour. Minister for Government Special Initiative Hawa Kumsin being questioned by police in the central region following last week's chaos at a Kaswa registration center where she's said to have fired gunshots. Also, 8 years already since former President Atta Mills died, his party, the opposition NDC, honors his memory, but not without a bit of drama, as separate ceremonies are held by key members of the same party. Also coming up, Ghana's first infectious disease center built through crowdfunding, all set to launch this project this afternoon. It's a 100-bed facility with a 20-bed intensive care unit. We're live on the ground with my colleague Mamavi Owusu-Abuaje, one of the project ambassadors. We're live on our digital television for free, also on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. We're streaming live on YouTube, and you can send your thoughts to us on all our social media handles. My name is Gifty Andopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. Let's take you through the details of those stories and more now. Special Development Initiative Minister Mavis Hawa Kumsin is this afternoon being questioned by police investigators at the Central Region Police Command. Madam Kumsin, who is also the MP for Ewutu Senya East, was sent to the Central Region Police Headquarters. It follows last week's chaos at a Kaswa registration center where she's said to have fired gunshots. In fact, she admits it herself. Electoral Commission officials and members of the public gathered at the center had to flee for their lives as the gunshots blazed at the registration center. We'll bring you more of that story, but take a look at this report in which some of the contradictions in statements made are highlighted.
As usual, we were doing our registration for the...
An eyewitness explains the cause of the violence that marred an otherwise peaceful registration exercise at Kaswa. JoyNews was there. The NDC candidate Felix Koyo accused the MP Mavis Hawa Kumsin of being behind the violence.
I am saying it's on authority that she instructed that the people should be shot and their motorbikes being bent because she was there with folded hands.
The MP spoke on the matter on Adom TV. First, she claimed when she arrived at the center, one of the cars in her entourage was surrounded by men on bikes. This was when she fired a warning shot.
I didn't direct it on anybody. So I gave warning shots, no one to stay or more. So that was what happened.
She insists the men who accompanied her to the center did not carry arms.
Maybe anywhere will create to the image. I want to know be weapon.
Eyewitnesses contradict this narrative. First, on the cause of the violence. One says the men in the company of the MP tried to sag the people riding the bikes. They are to have triggered the confusion.
All of a sudden, there's a car with bodyguards inside. That is Hawa Kumsin. So as they come, they were claiming anyone who is not part of the ID card should move away. And there was a rare bike here. So they decided to take the bike out of the way, and the guy said he should leave it, he will do it by himself. He just started beating the bikes. All the bikes around, put fire in it, beat the owners of the bike and just left. That's what happened.
He also says, contrary to the minister's claims, the men were armed with not only guns.
They were holding guns and staffs. pinkers, guns, everything they were holding it. So even you cannot stand, you have to run. Everybody was running away. And there was a pepper spray and a lot of stuff.
Another eyewitness confirms this narrative regarding the motorbikes.
So they just gathered it here and then they've set fire on it and burn it for no reason. So the EC official realized what is going on and it was so serious. So they just have to leave the place because here isn't safe anymore.
A gentleman stationed at the center says the MP was present during the scuffle over the bikes and urged those around to be calm.
She was here, she's telling us not to run away, nothing is going to happen. Whilst people are pulling rifle, shooting.
The account of the police even makes understanding the violence more confusing. The police officers confirm a gun was retrieved from the 4 suspects arrested for the violence. The officers also explained that these individuals were being held for the gunshots and the burning of the bikes.
So we have arrested 4 people in connection with what about happened at that registration center?
At least can you confirm that they had guns when you arrested them?
We have seized 1 gun.
First, a gun was fired. The MP claims it was her gun. The police made arrests and retrieved 1 gun. So, were there others who fired gunshots? This eyewitness, a trader, had 2 bullet marks on her gate. Her shop is at least 500 meters away from the registration center where the violence broke out.
So, was there only 1 gunshot or were there many more? And that's what the police seems to be investigating. Well, we'll be going over my colleague Richard Kojonyako, who is joining us in the central region. But despite there have been calls for the Hawa Kumsin to be sacked. In fact, there are calls that she should resign. We can hear from the NPP chairman Freddie Blay on this.
Exactly. Just on the scene, and based on the report from your own reporters and some of our membership and independent bystanders of what took place at that place. There was a surge of people, some on motorbikes, and rushing at the MP who was going around to inspect what was going on, encourage people say you shouldn't have been there, and so forth. Encourage members of the party and the public, and even NDC people to patronize registration exercise. And then before she was there were people surging around and on motorbikes threatening. She felt threatened. It was a lady. The story that she's saying, which I have no reason to believe otherwise. And I felt very threatened. He was defending herself. And he didn't shoot at anybody. He fired a warning shot to keep people, to ward off the people who were coming too close. Some, I'm told, one of them used a motorbike to hit a car that was in it. That's what she says. That's what some people are saying. And check from your own reporters what took place. I think it's over-exaggerated. And people are...
It's exaggerated?
It's over-exaggerated.
Over-exaggerated?
That's what I'm saying.
I see.
Definitely. She has agreed that...
She has
admitted that he fired a warning shot. Take care for her word. And if you are talking about as if there was bullets all over, like there was a big fight between individuals at that spot or not, there haven't been any report, any casualties. But it's unfortunate if there was an array of bullets flying up and down, but I don't believe that's what happened. What it says is that people on bikes were threatening her and she felt her life was threatened, and that's what she did. It's unfortunate that such a situation took place, but thank God not any individual was assaulted, had any bullet.
I mean, her action disrupted the whole registration exercise.
I am not saying her action. Those who threatened her also should be blamed. Indeed, they should be more blamed for what happened. Where are they from? Are they going
so
to register
MP is a
themselves?
victim in this case?
He was a victim, definitely, in this instance. But be it as it shouldn't have been, a situation shouldn't have been created like that. In this country, you could imagine if you feel threatened, you are a woman, and you don't have people around you who could easily save the situation. You need to protect yourself. That's what I've been told, and I have no reason to believe otherwise.
Party Chairman Freddie Play there. Let's take you to Cape Coast. Correspondent Richard Kojonyako has been following this story. He's those details. Hi, Richard. Richard, if you do hear me, let's first understand, is she under arrest or is she just being questioned? Hello, Richard? I think I hear you talk. Okay, Richard, I heard you talk, but we have to start this all over again because I lost the first bit of what you said. We're trying to connect with my colleague Richard Kojonyako in the central region, where we're getting information that the special initiative minister is being questioned by the police. Richard, are you there? If you hear me, let's first understand whether or not she is under arrest or simply being questioned.
Can you hear me?
I do, perfectly. Please go ahead.
Okay, so the special development minister was arrested at the regional police headquarters. She was invited. She came with her lawyers, and then she gave her caution statement, and then was placed under arrest. And then there were some bail conditions. We have not been told the nitty-gritties of the bail condition, but we are told that she's been granted bail. So she just left the premises of the regional police headquarters.
Lawyer, you say, describe to us, the scene at this invitation and her showing up with her lawyers. Describe to us the scene. Was she, for example, handcuffed?
If I can hardly hear you.
I'm asking you to describe for us the scene because we went there. Describe for us the scene, how it looked like, her presence, her coming with her. Was she in handcuffs, for example?
No, she was not in handcuffs. She was invited, so she drove here. That was about 2 hours ago. And then she was taken through the process. She came in a white top and a blue jeans with some white. And then she was taken through the process. So she was not in handcuffs. She came in two V8, came to the regional police headquarters. So she was not in handcuffs. But we are told by the police that she was placed under arrest and subsequently granted bail.
So she was arrested. She is under arrest.
Yes, she was arrested. The police have confirmed that when they take you through that kind of process, then it constitutes arrest because she was interrogated, she was placed under arrest, she gave her caution statement and was subsequently granted bail. And so we understand that there were some bail conditions that were satisfied by Madam Hawakumsin, but the police will let us in shortly on what the bail conditions were.
What happens going forward, Richard?
Well, so the police, once that the police have taken her caution statement, the police, they are in the meeting, and then they will address the media shortly.
This certainly did attract, a curious group of people within the area. Give us an idea, a mental picture, if you may, of how the people within this area reacted. I mean, what was the scene once again like?
Well, there haven't been much reaction because it was the regional police headquarters, and so I did not see a lot of people coming in here, with the exception of the two V8 that came to the regional police headquarters with Madam Hawakumsin herself. It really attract a lot of people here. So it was just the normal police processes that she went through or she was taken through, and then she was granted bail. So she just left the premises of the regional police headquarters.
On that note, let me bring you the visuals of her leaving the police headquarters. Take a look at this, and then Richard after that. So this is the police headquarters where Madam Hawakumsin, went to. There she is, leaving the police headquarters after she reported, and as Richard is reporting, with her lawyer in their VA. So there she is sitting in the car, and subsequently she leaves the So we're done and over with Richard Kojonyako. I was hoping that she was going to speak to the PRO for us, but we'll bring you more of that in our subsequent bulletin. Right now, the Jubilee House, we'll speak with our presidential affairs correspondent, Elton Brobe, who is joining us for an update. President Akufo-Addo is expected to be meeting the clergy this afternoon. Elton, it's good to have you this afternoon, and that meeting is ongoing. Elton, this week, this particular story has made the headlines. You've heard the clergy speak. In fact, the Christian Council has been calling for the resignation or a dismissal of Hawa Kumsin. Do we know anything at all to do with this incident?
Well, Gift is the reason for the meeting was not told before the members from the clergy went into that meeting with the president. It's very much unclear what really is being discussed behind. We do know that the details will be made known right after the meeting. However, some of them I spoke to before they entered into that closed-door session. They told me that they will indeed raise the issue of the current political temperature in the country and what the president, who is the commander-in-chief, and whose watch will have the next election is doing about it. There's also the issue about government response to the COVID-19 and government is doing to get the churches back into normal times. Remember that at the last restrictive measures that were announced, churches are only to hold congregation for not more than 100 people, and there's a clear guidelines as to how they should go about this. Now, it's been some time now since they conformed to this directive. This meeting, I'm told, is to recollect the last meeting and look at how best they can resolve the issues as they going forward. So basically, they're going to look at the church's response to the government COVID-19 restrictive measures, and then going forward, what they can do to ensure that there is compliance. Is there going to be a review of the numbers? Will the churches have more numbers to come to church? These are some of the matters that they are discussing. But what I've been told, however, is that they may also want to chip in the current political temperature in the country. They are of the view that it's getting a bit tensed ahead of the elections, and the president's election, they want to find out from him what he's doing about it. It's unclear whether the House issue will come up. I'm very sure it will come up, and if it does, what will be the response of the president? It will be out very soon. That's what we all here are waiting for to hear.
Do we have an idea how many people, in terms of representation, you have there?
So for my check, the members of the clergy, they have their own constituents. So in matters of this nature, and because the Jubilee House itself is quite strict on the number of people that can come into this meeting, I'm told that the number is not more than 25. The meeting itself is being held at the banquet hall, which is the biggest space here at the Jubilee House. The numbers not more than 25. So they've selected their leadership and some other key people. They want to find them in this particular meeting, people who are very known within the Christian circles. And I'm told that somewhere from next week, the president will host similar meetings with the Muslim community and way forward. But the political temperature for the members from the clergy is one of the issues that they will put forth, and they will hope to get assuring answer from the president going forward, especially as we prepare towards December 7, 2020. And already we are witnessing some skirmishes across the country just because we are registering people. What would then happen when we have to now go and vote to elect a president and 270 members of parliament? If this is anything to go by, then indeed there should be assurance of somebody working to ensure and maintain the peace and cohesion in the country. And who is best placed to do it? The person who is supervising the election, under whose watch will have this election, not as the president. So the call is, and that's what they are hoping to get the answers from.
Finally, Elton, are there any notable faces that you can mention for us?
Well, those I saw from the Pentecostal, the Christian Council, these are selected few. The faces we know already, from Action to Lighthouse and all those, familiar faces.
Elton, thank you. We'll come back to you. And the meeting has been going on for what, a couple of minutes?
No, it just started. A while ago, I mean, the president has had a meeting before. I mean, the information we had this morning, 2 important sessions. The first one ended, and the first one was some amount of 2 million Ghana cedis that under the auspices of the Ministry for Business Development, the president has extended to 1,000 disabled men who are entrepreneurs, and they will be given. They were given some capital to restart their business, and then what is happening is once this done will be done. The opening ceremony is being open to the media, so we'll get a glimpse as to the issues. But the nitty-gritties of what they have, those are the issues that they will discuss in camera.
I'll leave you to it so we don't miss anything. Elton, thank you. We'll come back to you. Elton Brobe is Presidential Affairs correspondent for us, and he joined us live from the Jubilee House. Now, the National Democratic Congress and its former Deputy General Secretary Koku Anyidoho today held separate ceremonies to commemorate the 8th anniversary of the death of former President John Evans Atta Mills. Koku, Chief Executive Officer of the Atta Mills Institute, left the Asomdwe Park after his event. Former President Rawlings had also visited earlier to pay his last respects. So that was a separate incident. At the event organized by the NDC, however, former President John Mahama continued the fight for peace and unity in Ghana.
We're here at Asomdwe Park for the commemoration of the 8th anniversary of the passing of Professor John Evans Atta Mills. Well, earlier, the Atta Mills Institute organized the commemorative event here. It was also a wreath laying ceremony. So in the background, you can see a wreath from the Atta Mills Institute, His Excellency President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo and the people of Ghana, and then a wreath also, from the family. Earlier, we had the former president of Ghana, Jerry John Rawlings. He was here. He did not lay a wreath. He just put flowers on the tombstone, and that flower is actually still there. We've been speaking to the chief executive of the Atta Mills Institute. He has been going around together with the chief executive of the Coastal Development Authority. We are told that there will be renovation of this place to honor the memory of Professor John Evans Atta Mills. So what we witnessed was a short curtain ceremony for the renovation of this park, one that befits the memory of Professor John Evans. We can hear from Koku Anyidoho, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Atta Mills Institute.
I worked for a good man. He had faith in me. I wasn't jobless, I wasn't homeless. I come from a good home, good background, good education. I had skill, I had talent. God gave me. God noticed my skills, noticed my talent, and decided that he was going to use it to the best of his ability. I will not say I'm faultless. He was a father, so he kept me, he taught me. We ran a campaign, we won an election. We had a vision, we had a direction, we had dreams for this nation. Somehow, God, but in the Bible, when Moses had to go, Joshua was told to get up and take the mantle. Maybe I've been behaving like a Jonah for so long, running away from what destiny has for me. I've ended up in the bellies of whales, and I've ended up in the bottom of ships. I've been vomited on seashores, and now I accept my destiny. I have a duty and a role to perform in this country via the Atta Mills Institute, and I'll do it for God's kingdom to be established.
Quite a number of NDC bigwigs attended today's event. There was a first event organized by the Atta Mills Institute, headed by its Chief Executive Officer Koku Anyidoho. After that ceremony, another ceremony, which was this time organized by the NDC, happened here. President Mahama, who has been speaking, pledged his commitment to ensure the unity of this country.
I stand today before the tomb that holds the mortal remains of the Asomdwe Hene, the King of Peace. And I pledge that I'll continue his fight for the peace and unity of this country. May his peace and grace guide us as a nation. May his peace and grace guide us as a party to the victory we so desire in the elections of December 2020. So that as a party and as a leadership, we shall restore to this country the peace and unity we once enjoyed. And so that we may, as a leadership and a party, put back to work the many thousands of people who have lost their jobs under this government. So that we may, as a party and leadership, relieve Ghanaians of the excruciating hardship that they currently face.
Chairman of the NDC, Samuel Oposo, speaking at today's event, he says at a time that we've witnessed a lot of violence during the voter registration exercise, we need someone like the late President Mills to calm the tension.
In this moment of real challenges, in which there is widespread violence and lawlessness, just because we are writing on order to be able to cast our votes, John Evans Atamils, the peacemaker, John Atamils, the Prince of Peace, is who we need to calm the waters. But alas, he's no more, gone to join the hallowed ancestors who spent their lives and employed their strength to build a country that we are all proud, and we are all so proud to call our own. As we congregate here this morning to participate in this annual ritual, let us never forget what he stood for and what he is.
I've also been speaking to Member of Parliament and NDC member Nielante Vanderpoel and what he makes of the violence that has characterized this registration exercise.
President John Dramani Mahama made it clear that the president we are celebrating today live for peace, live for unity, and live for one Ghana. But today, we are all witnesses to the forms of violence, brutalities, impunity that is going on in the country. We are all witness to the fact that the laws in the country now are specially made for some people and not for others. Ghana is no more a united country. Ghana is so unlike we have during the time of Professor Atamils. So it is my feeling that as we celebrate him today, all of us will rekindle and remember what he stood for and decide to vote for somebody who will at least know what Professor Atamils stood for and how he built this country.
That report 8 years on. May his gentle soul rest in peace. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. I'll take you to the Ashanti region. Police there have invited Assistant Headmaster of Ejisu Secondary Technical School for questioning over the detention of 2 students in his office. Kofi Apia allegedly forced the students half naked and held them overnight for allegedly stealing the school's electric stabilizer. A taxi driver who spotted them attempting to scale a fence wall with the stolen item caught and handed them over. Interior of our security desk reports.
One of the students drank liquid soap he picked from the detention room in what is believed to be attempted suicide. He started foaming from the mouth when the colleague shouted for help to attract teachers and students who rushed him to hospital. Police described the assistant headmaster's action as illegal and condemnable. ASP Godwin Ahianyo is the public relations officer at the Ashanti Regional Command.
One of the suspects, we understand, took in some substance suspected to be liquid soap, and he fell unconscious and was taken to the hospital. The other suspect is also assisting police in our investigations, whilst we also invited the said assistant assistants. So they are collaborating with that, and I'm sure at the appropriate time, the outcome of investigation will be made known to the public. Because you can't put somebody in a room and lock the person overnight. Per our laws, I don't think any person can do that unless a police officer or a security officer, if I may say so. He has no right. If somebody suspects somebody to have committed an offense, the appropriate place to send the person is the police station. You cannot take the law into and subject the person to any kind of treatment.
Section Criminal and Other Offences Act 1960. Act 30 says a private person may arrest without any person who in his presence commits any offence in the nature of stealing or fraud. ASP Ahianyo, however, says the assistant headmaster abused the provision.
Wherever you find a civilian effecting arrest, which is his right to, you don't arrest and keep. You can't even keep the person over an hour or two. Immediately you arrest, you inform police for the suspect to be called, or you send the suspect to the police station. Law is spelled as it is whenever anyone commits an offense. You're supposed to pass through the processes so that at the end of the day, you end up in court and then prove your case beyond reasonable doubt. You can't just say, yeah, that's why we arrest suspect and we send them to court. We can't say because the person is suspected to have committed an offense, we end the case. No, it is the court that will determine the fate of the accused or the suspect.
Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohime Teria reporting.
Ohime is joining me via Zoom with an update on the arrest of the assistant headmaster. Ohime, thank you. Good afternoon. Now, tell us what has happened since he was arrested. Tell us what has happened since he was arrested. Hi, Ohime. I'm hoping that you can hear me. Do tell us what has happened since the assistant headmaster was arrested.
It is very bad. I can hardly hear a word from you.
Okay, can you tell us what you have so that we don't prolong the interaction? Tell us what you have since you can't hear me. What has happened on the back of the arrest of the headmaster, assistant headmaster?
I hope you are asking about the updates on the assistant headmaster for Juso Secondary Technical, Mr. Kofi Appiah. What we do know is that yesterday he responded to an invitation by the Ashanti Regional Police Command to report at the nearest police station. So he did responded to that invitation. We are told he went to the police station in the company of some other colleague teachers, hoping that he would give a statement to police and then go home. But on faith, Appiah was detained at the Abuso police station where he passed the night there. And today he has been granted bail. But what we have picked from our police sources is that Mr. Kofi Appiah, together with the other two students, who were alleged to have stolen the school's stabilizer, will be arraigned before court next.
Well, Ohime, I'm not sure if you can hear me. Let's try this again, and if you don't, we'll hang it up there. I want to find out, yesterday we spoke to the parent of this gentleman. Are they satisfied with the arrest of the assistant headmaster now?
The line is very, very bad here. I can hardly hear you. Okay. But I must say that, yes, the policeman has already condemned the conduct of Mr. Kofi Appiah for illegally detaining the two students in his office. That actually nearly led to the death of one of the students who we are told wanted to commit suicide in that particular office. So already police are not happy with this conduct. They have already condemned that conduct, and same has also been heard in some quarters of the from the Regional Education Directorate, though officials wouldn't want to comment on it publicly. They believe that the teachers' conduct is not, in line, it's not in tune with the GES policy as far as management of schools and students are concerned. So GES is not also happy over Mr. Kofi Appiah's conduct, and when police are done with a criminal matter or criminal investigations, the Ghana Education Service will also want to take the issue up.
Ohimi, I thank you very much for that update. Ohimi Teria there of our security desk joining me with details of that arrest of the assistant headmaster who locked up 2 students in his office. Still related to schools, I will go to the KNUST Senior High School. Yesterday, the students there paid tribute to their colleague who died recently, describing him as brilliant, caring and supportive. The late Sam Leonard Richards was laid to rest yesterday as 2 committees separately investigate circumstances leading to his death. His colleagues went on a demonstration over allegations that teachers had abandoned the 6th student for fears of COVID-19. Live FM's Erastus Asare Donko witnessed the burial ceremony and has filed this report.
Preventive measure directed all such into boarding. It is part of the preventive measures against the virus when final year students returned from the COVID-19 break to prepare for their exams. Some complained of stomach ache at school, but according to his colleagues, he couldn't get help on time. He died in Shia Government Hospital after the father had arrived to take over from caretaker students who had taken over responsibility help from teachers. 2 committees are investigating accusations of neglect by school authorities and the circumstances leading to his death. Today, teacher unions, education directors, friends and others the family to pay their last respect to Sam, whose colleagues shared glowing memories of him.
We came to pay our last respect to our brother. Yes, you see, it was rather unfortunate that we lost him. But now we are just encouraging ourselves. Though he is no more, but he will forever remain in our heart. Rest in peace, Sam.
Who was he? What would you say about him?
He was my class prefect, a brother, a friend, like anything that we can think of. Yeah, he was a good person to everybody who had an encounter with him. Yes.
What's the one thing you remember about him?
One thing that I'll always use to remember him is whenever I have a problem with any of the subjects, then I'll go to him. He will not hesitate. But what he will do is that he will help me solve my problem concerning any of the subjects.
Was he brilliant?
Very brilliant, of all standards.
The Ghana Education Service donated 5,000 Ghana cedis among other donations towards his funeral. Sam's parents will not speak on record to Love News, but are hopeful findings of the 2 investigative committees will give them justice. Reporting for JoyNews, Erastus Asare Donko, Kumasi.
Braving the pain of burying your child, that's the mother there of the boy, exchanging pleasantries with his friends. May he so rest in peace. Away from that, physician assistants are protesting a decision by the to bar private facilities they run from providing services to subscribers. They warn that any such action can only mean a return to cash and carry. Ohimi Teria again with a report.
Assistants Association says the policy set to take effect next September is discriminatory to its 1,700 members and the burden on poor patients. Leaders say the NHI in a letter last year announced health facilities of physician assistants in private practice would no longer be enrolled onto the scheme. Despite several calls from regulatory bodies like Health Facility Regulatory Authority and the Medical and Dental delayed implementation of the directive, NHI is bent on going ahead. David Donko is the public relations officer of the association.
The NHI in the later part of 2019 wrote a letter to all practicing physician assistants who are practitioners in chief in private practice June 30th, 2020, they will not allow their facilities to be used as places where patients who access health care on the National Health Insurance Scheme to as it may be, access health care using NHIS card in those facilities. And we feel like it's a very discriminatory act. If there is a problem or a systemic problem you want to cure, you should cure it across board. You don't target a particular group of people. And what makes it more alarming is that the NHI, that's the National Health Insurance Authority, led by Dr. Lydia Selby, have not been able to proffer any reason, whether a scientific reason or as it may be any guesswork, for that particular singular decision they have taken.
The physician assistants warn of dire consequences if the NHI implements the directive, as they contemplate line of action.
In all regions of this country and in all districts where we don't have government physical infrastructure, as in health facilities, where private facilities manned by physician assistants are operating, where people can go and present their NHIS card, come 30th of September, the ordinary Ghanaian who will be at the receipt be able to use the NHIS card to access these private facilities. It brings back cash and carry, which of course the eliminate cash and carry, because the NHIS give financial accessibility to healthcare and eliminate cash and carry. So as an association, we feel like this is a very unpopular decision by Dr. Lydia Selby and her NHIA, and we believe that the government should rather take keen interest in this.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oyminteria reporting.
First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo is urging African countries to share experiences on their management of the coronavirus pandemic to enable the continent better deal with the situation. She said this after receiving medical supplies from the Chinese government. Hannah Odame was at the event.
The Chinese government is giving all 53 African countries medical supplies to help especially mothers, children and young people fight the coronavirus pandemic. Its supplies, which include thermometer guns and face mask, Wednesday. Presenting the items, the chargé d'affaires at the Chinese embassy, Zhu Zin, said the Republic of China is grateful to Ghana for assisting them with masks to authorities in Wuhan, which was the highest hit city at the height of the coronavirus pandemic in that country.
At this critical moment, as China and Africa stand together facing the pandemic, this is a token of friendship from the Chinese people towards African people. So at the height of the China's battle against virus early this year, Your Excellency give your valuable support to the Chinese people by donate masks to Wuhan city, the hardest hidden city at the time, epicenter at the time. The expression of profound feelings is an indelible deed in the history of China-Ghana relations, and always be remembered.
Receiving the medical supplies on behalf of the government of Ghana, Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo said the African continent can together fight the virus if data and experience are shared.
2020 will go down in history as one of the most difficult for mankind. Imagined that a virus will bring the entire world almost to its knees. Ironically, it's also been the year when we realized how dependent and connected our world is. The world has quickly recognized that if we must beat the COVID-19 pandemic, we have to work together. We have to share data and experiences. We have to engage each other on solutions that will restore normalcy to our world. It is therefore heartwarming that in the midst of this pandemic, Ghana and China have supported one another. Today is another proof of the warm relationship between Ghana and China. I am indeed grateful to the First Lady of China, Her Excellency Deng Liyuan, and the government and people of the People's Republic of China for this donation to protect mothers, children, and youth.
For Joy News, I am Hannah Odame.
And as we talk about the support, let's take a look at the figures. How are we doing as far as our case count? is concerned. So far, we're looking at 30,366 cases. But of course, that's the total number of cases we've recorded. The active cases at the moment are 3,526. So the new cases, as you may see at the top there, is 694 new cases have been recorded, looking at 26,687 being recovered. Of course, you know that we have reviewed the processes there. Unfortunately, 153 people have died so far. Ghana's first infectious disease center, located at the Ga East Municipal Hospital in Accra, has been completed and is to be handed over to the Ghana Health Service today. The 100-bed hospital has a 20-bed intensive care unit with a first-class laboratory backup generator, among others. It will be commissioned by the Vice President a few minutes from now. My colleague and project ambassador, Mamavi Owusu-Abuaje, is there, and I'll be connecting with her shortly. But she takes us when it all started.
Weeks since the groundbreaking ceremony to launch this project, and what's also fascinating is the record time in which they want to complete this project. So we are tracking it after the first week. It was my first visit to the project site after President Akufo-Addo cut short for the start of the project on the 17th April this year, when Ghana's COVID-19 case count was around 1,000. The initiative, which started with 11 business CEOs, had one mission: to provide a prompt response to the hardship and suffering arising out of the COVID-19 pandemic.
This is historical. You know, it's history in the making. It's the first time such a facility is being put up. Ghana hasn't got an infectious disease isolation and treatment center, so it's the first of its kind. And it's also the first time that we've had professionals from all the key building institutions coming together to volunteer to do a job.
So how did the idea of a disease and treatment center for the country come about? Here's co-chair of the Ghana COVID-19 Private Sector Fund, Edward Effa.
Initially, I must confess, we're thinking of temporary hospital. We had those initial armed forces, and I think we were very lucky to have with us Justice Youngson, who's the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. And Justice was very emphatic that Ghana needed a permanent infectious disease treatment center. And initially, it seemed like an outrageous idea because we all thought we're just going to put some tents together and increase the bed facility in case our numbers went up.
Kofi Esel-Apia, architect and project lead, describes what makes up the project.
You see, it's a very serene and contemporary, and the idea is to be relevant to the times we live in. And machinery and support system that health systems must have. So you see the beds and all that, and to make it very pleasant. And the colors that have been chosen here have been specially selected, and then we want you to be able to look out as you get healed from this thing. Isolation centers are very stressful in that sense. You stay in one place, but when you see that butterfly flying around, that it helps you get better soon.